know that any of the three that are selected based on the preliminary proposals that I saw would represent us very well. So everybody's put together a lot of work, and I look forward to the presentations today. Any other opening comments from any members of the board before we begin the presentations? Okay. Thank you for being here. The first group that's up is Growing Santa Rosa Enterprises. Are you ready? Please, whenever you're ready, step right up. There should be a speak button in the middle there, and when the red light comes on, you're good to go. You got it.
Good afternoon, commissioners and attendees. I'm happy to be here. I'm Jessica Shelfout, the managing owner of Growing Santa Rosa Enterprises. Thank you for the opportunity to present our action plan to you. We are happy to be here, like I said, and also I'd like to introduce our team, Ken Fountain and Larry and Jerry Rollison, and also Jonathan Cole.
Thank you again, commissioners. We appreciate the opportunity to come here and speak before you and tell you about our action plan that we hopefully, if allowed the opportunity, would give us bring success to this venture. As all businessmen, we know that you have to look at the whole picture. And the biggest thing that jumped out at us is this is a county complex. And as such, it was funded by county tax dollars. So in our view, every tax-paying citizen of Santa Rosa County is an owner in the pier. So they were indeed our first priority in viewing this.
And we've conducted an informal poll of the local residents, Santa Rosa County residents, via social media. We picked up on the common theme of they want to keep it local and keep it simple, which is how we came up with our motto in the first place. On the opening page of our presentation was keep it local, keep it simple. So we wanted to go with what they said they wanted. Just clean it up, run it right, give us better food and beverages, better service. They like the pier complex as it is, was the overarching theme that we saw across social media when we polled locals.
So instead of maybe coming up with our own ideas of, hey, how do we want to do this, we thought it was important that input be taken into account. What our fellow residents of the county, our family and friends thought, people that we polled out there at the facility. And so for that reason, instead of our dreams, we thought best, let's listen to what they have to say, and that's the plan of action that we'll take.
At the end of the day, we thought more, it's not the fanciness or the size of the facility, but more so how it's run and how many paying customers enter the complex. That's our mindset.
Focusing on locals is something we consider the foundation, and any structure requires a solid foundation. Of course, tourism is vastly important to Santa Rosa County just for revenue and exposure alone. But being the tourist myself, I know when I go out of town, I want to go where the locals go. So that's the kind of environment we want to create, where there's an epicenter for local involvement, but then tourists can come and enjoy themselves and fit in and feel comfortable, and also in a very casual atmosphere. So thus our motto, come as you are.
Let us explain the core principles that are the bedrock for our management and business plan.
All right. First of all, competent experience management. Also friendly, courteous, and prompt service.
We have excellent locally sourced food, beverages, and merchandise. Rigid accounting methods, fiscal responsibility, and transparency are key to our plan.
We want to reinvigorate local engagement in the facility, as well as grow tourism. Also, all of our business will be conducted in strict accordance with federal, state, and local requirements.
We want to develop a positive public relation and reputation that reflects well on Navarre Beach and Navarre and Santa Rosa County and all the locals and the commission as well. We want to provide a family-friendly, relaxed environment that adheres to strict safety codes where people can go and relax and enjoy themselves. The three basic features of the pier complex are the fishing pier, the retail shop, and the restaurant.
With the fishing pier obviously being the focus point of the complex, it's important that it become a magnet for local fishermen and visitors. But also it is an income generator for Santa Rosa County, money they can use for other purposes, obviously to make the county as a whole a better place. So for us, transparency is very important. We're going to establish a gate and turnstile operation in addition to a separate account on a POS system so we can accurately track how many visitors are coming on the pier and account for every dollar that should be coming in and returned to the county. In addition, in polling fishermen, their thing is they enjoy the pier, but sometimes it's a long walk to get what you want. So our plan is to bring it to them. So we're going to maximize their experience while they are indeed visiting on the pier.
We're going to offer a food cart and a bait cart that goes out along the pier and sells pre-prepared food items from the restaurant, and also items for sale like fishing tackle and bait from this retail shop as well. The retail shop will be renamed Sand Dollars. We'll supply bait and fishing supplies and provisions, rod rentals, and a fishing coach. We're going to have locally sourced products and artwork, and there's already some arts and crafts set up in there, and we're going to also continue that. We'll offer beach gear, beach towels, and sunscreen, and then we're going to have an accounting system that will track the retail shop separately from the restaurant and from the pier.
Also, the restaurant aspect will be called Foxtails, and this will be serving locally sourced food and beer. We have letters of intent from a number of local partners, and we'll certainly be drawing these products from local vendors such as Rollo's Seafood, Milton Quality Bakery, and of course, Yield Brothers Brewery. We're going to provide this in a very relaxed atmosphere. Once again, come as you are. We're going to offer barbecue, a raw bar, other seafood options, sandwiches, and kids' menus. And also in the future, we'll be offering wood-fired brick oven baked pizza once we're able to establish that. And of course, we're going to feature beers from the first brewery established in Santa Rosa County, Yield Brothers Brewery. And that leads us to the point that this endeavor is established on duplicating a proven business model that has succeeded, that being the Yield Brothers Brewery. So at this time, we want to introduce the man behind that vision, Mr. Larry Rawlinson, to discuss that vision, that model.
In front of you, you will find a scripted presentation that I'm going to actually read from due to the limited amount of time that I have here. So you'll have a hard copy of everything I said that you can verify with me or whatever, any information that you find on there. Okay, my name is Larry Rawlinson, and together with my twin brother Jerry, we own equal shares in BJL Sources Incorporated, of which Yield Brothers Brewery is a subsidiary. We're design-build electrical contractors that participate in industrial construction, control panels, and systems integration. For example, we are now developing an automated craft brewing system that we intend to market regionally. We are developers. We purchase properties primarily in Santa Rosa County and develop them into businesses, be it electrical, food service, or residential rentals. We're restaurateurs now since the addition of the Yield Brothers Brewery. We researched and designed an automated craft brewing system that we found to be superior to most of those available in the market today. We found the crafted beer we produced with this machine to be of world-class quality. We then proceeded to design and build a brew pub that is now known as Yield Brothers Brewery to market this beer. That's where the pub actually come from. Okay, our total corporate sales are somewhere between $2.5 and $3 million annually. And we employ approximately 30 people, mostly Santa Rosa County residents. We live a very modest lifestyle and grind most of our profits back into the company, which accounts for our ability to maintain a debt ratio of 0. That's 0, nada. I encourage each of you to go online to the property appraiser's office and search BJL Sources Incorporated. You will find all our currently owned properties, but what you will not find is any liens or judgments. We own our properties outright. We have a personal line of credit of $250,000 with SunTrust Bank, of which we draw upon occasionally and is available for development. Our accounts receivable less accounts payable is approximately $200,000. Excuse me. Our assets are available to draw upon to ensure the success of the Santa Rosa County Pier Complex we're proposing should they be needed. Okay, with our rentals, we always run background checks on our potential leasers to eliminate persons with poor credit or questionable character. As managing partner of Growing Santa Rosa County our growing Santa Rosa enterprises, I encourage you to run background checks on each member of our group. Excuse me. You will find us all to be responsible and honest citizens of Santa Rosa County. Any information required from us to accomplish will be provided on request. Long ago, when I was in the lighting agency business, my employer, Dan T. Scott, gave me a great piece of advice for running a business. It was simply do what you say you're going to do, and you're halfway there. Since then, I have lived by those words, and it's helped me enormously in the business world. What we growing Santa Rosa enterprises see in this Santa Rosa County Pier complex is a gem, tarnished as it might seem now, but still a valuable gem. We will be successful in this. Were we to be successful in this proposal, we intend to polish this gem, give it a personality, and create for the citizens of Santa Rosa County the crown jewel in Navarre Beach. When Jerry and I built this pub, we heard from all the naysayers that we were placing this business in the middle of nowhere. We would never make it, or we would bankrupt in a couple of years. To them, I now say we can't bankrupt because there are no banks involved to rupt us. Okay, we innovated, built a class establishment, and cater to our local customers. Okay, I got some points. We're not a beer joint. This is one thing I had to explain to the people in Holly. We're not a beer joint. We're a family restaurant that sells crafted beer. Okay, our facility is clean. In over 2.5 years, we have not received a single health department violation. Our business is increasing approximately 20% annually. Our Oktoberfest this year was more than double what we did last year. We actually could not park them all.
We're past the time now. So
They started about 7 minutes late. Is that?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, I'm just relaying what was told to me. If one of y'all can let me know when the time is where it needs to be, I apologize.
The presentation time was 15, so just kind of letting you know we're getting close.
okay, all right, I'll buzz through here. I'm trying to hurry, and it's a little difficult for me to get in a hurry, but okay, when we found that taking care of our local customers, they are now taking care of us. In our 3rd year, we are turning a reasonable profit. Over our many years in Santa Rosa County, we have come to know the local folks and now have grown to love them. What a great group of folks we are honored to serve in this community. We intend to carry this model to the Pier complex, if allowed, so we can introduce these fine local folks to the many tourists that will patronize us. We will not turn this Pier complex into a tourist trap. We think about this. If we can take Ye Olde Brothers Brewery, built in the middle of nowhere, and turn it into a successful endeavor, just imagine what we can do with this Pier complex in the middle of Navarre Beach. I encourage each of you to stop by the brewery and let us show you our entire operation. We are, in fact, quite proud of what we have built there. We find the traditional architecture of this complex superb, and that's the Pier complex, and will avoid any temptations to move towards contemporary. When our cash flow trends positive, we will explore increased sales by way of infrastructure additions, but I don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse. We prefer to clean up the mess that exists there with maintenance, management, and service, and then explore ways to improve with full transparency to Santa Rosa County authorities as our partners. As with any professional company, we're interested in increasing sales and profits for us as well as the taxpayers of Santa Rosa County, or Santa Rosa, of whom we serve. And that's it.
Our action plans includes these steps to success: increased visitation, leading to increased revenue, a well-managed facility that doesn't generate time-consuming issues and bad press, a facility that reflects well on Navarre Beach and Santa Rosa County, and one that improves over time, creating less risk for the county. We offer a 6-year lease with the option upon review to renew for an additional 6. Collection of all pier fees with 100% remitted to the county, plus an additional 1% given by GSE. 5% of all gross from the restaurant and the retail shop.
Okay. And also, just recently came to us before, this is information that came after the RFP and the bid being turned in, but we learned that the current ownership with Coastal Concessions had made a request to the board to possibly terminate the contract a little earlier. That being said, we've actually spoken with him. We have an action plan in place with the resources of GSE and current infrastructure and Neal Brothers Brewery. Growing Santa Rosa Enterprises is prepared to take immediate assumption of the management if necessary.
It's our intent to not close. Our mission is to restore the Pier complex as a community beacon by being the leading example of stewardship through strategic application of transparent business practices and by building strong partnerships with honest, driven, experienced employees, vendors, and our affiliates. Thank you again for the opportunity to share our action plan with you, and we'd like to open the floor to questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Now open it up for members of the board to ask questions of the applicant. Commissioner Parker, you're recognized.
Just a couple. How long has Growing Santa Rosa Enterprise, it's probably in here and I apologize if I forgot, but how long have y'all been, that entity been formed?
Well, we started Growing Santa Rosa Enterprises as an outgrowth of our work together, Jonathan Cole and Jessica and I, developing businesses and helping to grow. So it's a new corporation, new LLC that we did set up for the purpose of proposing June of this year.
Is there, and I guess my questions are geared a little bit more towards looking at some of the things, thank you, that we have experienced in my short tenure on the board with the Pier and current operations is, I'm assuming, what's the protocol if a partner wants to get out? Like, for whatever reason, whether it be there or personal, you know, if, since there's basically 5 different folks involved, if one of the managing partners or principal owner or whoever decides that they want to separate, is there, I'm sure probably in the articles of incorporation there, but is that something y'all have all comfortable with? If Yale Brothers, you know, decided, hey, I'm out in 6 months, and again, I'm just going off of sort of the issues we saw happen before with partnerships disbanding and all, is that something that the other partners have collectively been prepared to move forward?
We do. One of the things that brought us all together and is reflected in our name. We're all from Santa Rosa County. We're all from this area. Our families are here. Our businesses have been here. I've been in practice for over 22 years in Santa Rosa County and Navarre. Jared?
Our reputation depends on us being as good as our word. Each and every one of us are as good as our word.
Yeah, go with Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. Our reputation is at stake in this Pier bid, okay? And each one of us are as good as our word. In fact, I made a statement about that in my presentation, and that's what's gotten me to the point to where we are today with our business. Excuse me. You know, with that, you've got to look at character. You got to look at the character of the people. That's why I wanted you to take and go get do a background check on us. Look at us. Look at what we've done. You can see our business. Everything is out there to you in front and center, and I'll verify every piece of it.
We've also spent a lot of time leading up into this. We have a manager identified that we will have working with us at the restaurant facility, for example. We bring our experience in different businesses and companies. I've worked personally with many restaurants and retail operations over the years, and so we bring all of that. We have backup plans if something were to happen, specifically for the question, if something were to happen to either of the brothers or both of the brothers. We do have a plan for continued operations, but we are definitely relying on and counting on, I think Santa Rosa County can count on, their experience in the management of that facility.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lynchard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the original submittal and then the presentation today. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your backgrounds and your varied backgrounds. I look at this as kind of, it's the pier is the focus, and everybody, we always refer to it as the fishing pier, but the restaurant side of things is just as important to the success of whoever goes in there. So have you visited any other piers in your research into this proposal, and which piers? That would be my first question.
Yes, we actually took quite a few field trips. Of course, the Pensacola Beach Pier, the one in Fort Walton, and then even a couple in other coastal areas along the Gulf Coast of Florida. So definitely we took away a lot of ideas. Like even the Pensacola Pier, even though it's a larger area, obviously it draws more tourists, it's not an overly large complex, and they keep it very, very relaxed. And some of the same things that are happening there are things that we had already thought of, but we also took away some ideas. So we've definitely put a lot of homework into this. And like I said, the biggest thing is if the visitors are happy and they enjoy the experience, they're going to come back. They come back, they're going to bring their money. It brings revenue for the county, which is a focus, and of course makes it a successful business venture for us as well.
And looking at your proposal and the additional information that you submitted, your capital improvement schedule, your initial capital improvements, really they're more aesthetic. You're gonna leave the bones the way they are and then just improve on that. So not a lot of investment in the infrastructure, just capital improvements. And is that the reason that you've offered a 6-year proposal, correct?
We do. We're really not worried about being reviewed. I mean, we are taking a very conservative approach. We want to make sure everything's on track and there's no downtime, that we're back up to operations. Our approach to this was a little bit different than maybe some of the other proposals that you received. We didn't look at this like, how can we maximize our profits for ourselves? We really looked at this as a stewardship. And we asked ourselves, and we asked our neighbors, and we did some informal polling, you know, what do they want? And I grew up here in the area. We want a pier and a restaurant that we can take our families to and send our families to, and send our friends and relatives when they come in town. And so we really wanted to keep it authentic. We wanted to keep it simple, and really we want to get everything up and running the way it should be running, and look at capital improvements going forward. So we didn't want to overpromise. We weren't going to build a tourist trap. We wanted to build something that we would all be accessible for us and would feature Santa Rosa County products and really speak about what Santa Rosa County is. We really want people to take their families there, tourists to take their families there, and then to want to go up to the Blackwater River, to want to go out and get around and explore Santa Rosa County, because there's a lot more to offer than just the beach. So we really want to tie that in there. You know, we looked at, I think we talked about not being a tourist trap was one of the big things that I know Larry mentioned in his presentation. If you go to like the Fort Walton Pier, when we looked at some of these other piers, it's just too much, you know. And if you want to take your family out there to go fishing and have a nice dinner, you don't want to be surrounded by just an overwhelming tourist trap experience. You want it to be authentic to Santa Rosa County and to the beach.
I think that's, we hear about tourist trap and not turning Navarre into another Destin and all of that. There's some fine line there that everybody down in Navarre has to walk, every business. Because as a business, as a restaurateur, what attracts tourists was a lot of times it's the same thing that's going to attract locals. So I was out at Casino Beach Pier Friday night doing a little research, watching the Cubs game. But it made me think about that same thing. You know, a lot of people view that as more of a tourist destination. But I remember a year ago went out there, and I probably ran into 15 people that I know that are local that just went out there for a dinner on a Friday or Saturday night in the off season. So I look forward to seeing what we can turn the Navarre Pier experience into. Thank you.
Commissioner Williamson.
Commissioner Salter, you're recognized.
Thank you. Great presentation. You've hit on a lot of the things that are important to me. Tell me about your peer management experience.
Well, I think our management experience is, certainly for Larry, and they've operated the restaurants and retail. We have all had experience in our lifetimes working in different retail and different businesses. We all are business people up here. We've had our own businesses and worked in construction, real estate, development. And we've seen the problem, speaking for myself personally, we've seen the issues that restaurants face. We've seen the issues that retail operations face. And, I think we can, by having that knowledge, it lets us avoid a lot of those issues. It's all about the customer service. It's all about having the systems and the management and the transparency. Again, I think you'll find that as operators of the pier, operators of the restaurant and the store, we'll be very, very transparent, and you'll see the changes, and you'll be able to see the progress that we're making out there.
Good presentation, and peer-specific business experience. To me, business is business. So that is a valid question, but I'm more interested in some of the revenue numbers. And in the proposal, you have the food sales staying ahead of the alcohol sales. And I think you had mentioned that, your $2.5 million is the total revenue that you guys are producing there, which, by the way, I've been to Yield Brothers Brewery, and that's a good pizza. So I've eaten there myself. I'm just curious, it would seem like the alcohol sales, that revenue would be more than food sales. Tell me, in this environment, where a lot of people go out there and they may be having, hanging out and having a beer or something, and they might not eat anything. So I know it would vary depending on the food and beverage experience in the restaurant, but kind of give me your thought process behind that. I mean, you showed both of the revenues doubling in both of them.
Okay. Our thought process was taking available data, which was provided by the county through the amended RFP. So we had some rough data, also data available through the management of Yield Brothers Brewery and for other establishments, including speaking with the general manager at the Casino Beach Bar. Once again, it's a projection, but we wanted, as Ken said earlier, to kind of lean more towards under-promising and over-delivering, as opposed to I could throw a humongous number at you and then fall far short, and then we're back where we were. So the thing is that we want to attract families, and visitors are families, and locals are families. So a family of 5 comes in and eats, and there's 3 kids, only the adults, and maybe one isn't going to drink beer. So those food revenues will definitely probably stay on par. It could go up, it could go down. It's just an estimate based on our conversation and on the available numbers. And also the projections, even with the current peer management, based on the numbers I saw on an annual basis, the revenue seemed to double. So we're feeling with our business model and with our marketing strategies, we'll be able to at least match that pace, if not more. And at the end of the day, it's not, like how fancy the building is or how large it is. It's how many people come through the turnstiles and spend their money, because then Santa Rosa County gets their share, the business is a success, it generates good public will. And so by presenting that numbers, once again, it's a projection. It's not written in stone, obviously. It's like trying to predict the weather. But our hopes is we'll become a family establishment. Maybe for an example is he mentioned the Oktoberfest that was held a few weeks ago. When you think of Oktoberfest, first thing you think about is beer. But actually, there were a lot of children there. They were very engaged. A lot of food was served. And so it was a very family-friendly atmosphere, and everyone that came enjoyed it. In fact, we had an issue parking everybody. We had 2 additional lots, and still people were parking along 87. So
I'm not saying that I'm necessarily encouraging that. I'm just trying to figure out how you were arriving at the numbers. And it looked like you guys, about the 5th year that you would have doubled food service revenue, and you would have doubled the alcohol sales revenue. So definitely a steady approach to the growth. You said 6-year lease, I believe 5% of the shop. Could you run through the other numbers that you provided just real quick?
Of course, 100% of Pier proceeds to the county, plus we'll add an additional 1% of that as part of our more revenue for the county. Well, sort of a thank you for the opportunity, but as we said, we're very, very, very focused on this being a success for the county as well as for ourselves.
So
And
that's a 1% of the gate revenue associated
Right.
with pier
So-
walk-ons
Right.
and fishing license? That-
Right, so for every, when a fisherman comes on, the county's actually gonna get $8.08, or if a walker comes on, they're gonna get $1.01. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but with the numbers that we're hoping to generate, that's additional revenue that the county can certainly use for other ventures that benefit the entire county. Also, yes, 5% of gross proceeds from the restaurant and the shop, that's off the top.
Okay. Okay. Vice Chairman Cole,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you and good presentation. Sorry.
Thank you.
First of all, for complete disclosure, this is root beer.
Yes, we,
I wanted to bring beer, but
cooler heads prevailed, so this is root beer brewed right at the Brothers Brewery.
And for another disclosure, this gentleman, Mr. Cole here, and myself have never met before. We're not related in any way. In fact, if I'd have run into him on the street, because his picture shows a little bit of hair around the edges, I probably wouldn't even recognize him.
Exactly.
So I just want to make sure we got that on record. So nothing. Like the presentation, I like the additional 1%. I like the fact that you stated that you would pay all expenses and utilities, maintenance costs related to pier operation, because I think that equates to about a $65,000 bill for the county every year if we take that on. I like your idea of being, let's walk or let's crawl before we walk type thing. I think that's a good way to go. I use the same scenario in my business. I'd much rather tell you it's going to cost you $150 to get brakes on your car, and you come back in, it's $130. So that's, it's just shows me good business relations with your customers, trying to keep customers happy. And I too like the pizza, but my wife's real disappointed you don't do shrimp anymore, so.
This, if we're allowed this opportunity, she can have shrimp at the pier.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Parker?
I was just going to say thank you for the layout, especially even seeing what each partner had contributed financially. I know that was an important part to me. Appreciate y'all doing that. I think it's I'll just say you're welcome to the board members that have enjoyed the terrific food put in front of you for that suggestion. And no, I appreciate it. I think two quick things is I like the fact that y'all do have other businesses in the county, that your reputation sort of rides on it, so to speak, as you had said. And to the note, I actually probably even a couple of weeks ago wasn't thinking so much like you said, like, hey, make it geared towards the local folks, but, non-touristy. And I had even thought when we initially started this process that I think me and Commissioner Lynchard had even talked about maybe a lot larger capital improvement, and left that years open. But I will share with you, even last week, personal experience. I'm kind of looking at Commissioner Lynchard because he would know the name of it. Practice law down there in Destin on 30A, not the place you told me about, but another little place. I think it may have been called like Elmo's or something. And I mean, it was a shack. But me and my wife said the same thing. We're like, hey, I bet that's where the locals go. And we went in there, and it was all tourists. But it had that feel. It had that local feel and terrific food. So I think that's a perfect example. Is the same thing that draws the tourists probably will draw the locals. So thank you very much.
Thanks. And just a point of clarification, is it 1% or 10%?
1%.
1%. Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry if it might have been a typo. I'm sorry if it was.
That's all right. No, that's
Yeah.
just.
Yeah,
that's
how
what I
word
heard.
programs
I thought you said, I was about to say, I thought I heard 1%, but then I saw 10%.
Well, again, as for a business model, is our thing is let's get on our feet, and then we can always negotiate things down the road, obviously. One thing I do want to point out, I was hoping to get a chance to segue the selections here, but these are items that will be on the menu. Obviously, you see that there's a little pulled pork, there's some coleslaw, some baked beans, but the little nuggets are alligator tail, something that will be on the menu. We'll also have fried frog legs. We know that's not for everybody, so we didn't bring those in here today, but that will be on the menu. We're looking for a unique experience, and I think if people come out, families or other visitors, and it's fun, then, you know, they're going to keep coming, and that's what's really going to be the crux to all this.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is the next group ready to go? You won't hear any objections from me frying gator tails around here.
We need to take a 10-minute break.